Welcome back to AFTV, everyone. Arsenal travel to Ipswich. Newcastle lost, so chance to just really, again, cement out second place a little bit more. But the question is, how much will Arteta rotate? How much should he rotate? We have Palace on Wednesday, and I've just clocked 30 seconds ago. We've got 2 games till PSG. It's not long. It's not long. But I'm here with Laurie. I'm here with Christian Ty. Round of applause for everyone here. And round of applause to all of you in the comment section below, joining us in 10, 15, no, not even, about 13 minutes. We're going to know the Arsenal 11. And I'm not going to waste any time. We're going to dive straight into it. Laurie, do you know what? I'm lying. I'm going to waste a bit of time. Still beaming from Real Madrid. I was going to ask you about the 11, but you know what? I was out last night. I was out Thursday night. I was out Wednesday night. I'm just like enjoying it. To be fair, I mean, it's Easter weekend and all that, so just extra days off. But I've watched the highlights 30 times.
Yeah, I mean, listen, we're still basking in the reflected glory, and we don't want to overdo it. But at the end of the day, like I said, the league is kind of, let's face it, dead food, really. A lot of people think so. I personally don't, but a lot of people think so. So it's only natural that we're going to gravitate towards what was a very famous victory. So yeah, why not? Bask in the reflected glory. But then today, things start to get serious again. Yeah, but
sure. I'm still buzzing off.
Still
Wednesday.
Buzzing, man. Yeah. We were just talking about what topics we're going to bring up, what we're going to talk about. I said, let's just talk about Real Madrid. I could talk about until we play PSG. I'm just enjoying that, man.
Yeah, I know.
Because, like we said, 16 years since we've been in a Champions League semi-final. What a moment as an Arsenal fan. But, all right, if we move it on.
Yeah.
We have a game today, so maybe let's focus on Ipswich.
Ipswich. Look, the conversation is really as simple as, who do we want to see? How much should he rotate? Now, I'm caught in two minds. I want to position this for you guys. That PSG is only 3 games away, but it's also... Oh my God, it's 9 days away. It's the 20th of April. John, I'm really I'm sort of really realising we don't have long. I don't think you want to.
I think that's a good thing, to be honest.
I agree. There's a week between Palace and PSG, just less. I don't think you want to not play your stars till then, and they essentially have 2 weeks before they're kind of in the heat of another really competitive game. I have a feeling Arteta might go quite strong today, you know.
Yeah, I mean, obviously we'd like to see some of the guys on the periphery of the team get minutes, but yeah, you've got to take the game seriously. You've got to treat it with respect. They owe it to the fans, the club, everybody connected with Arsenal to go for the 3 points. And it's interesting because I did a AFTV live yesterday with my boy Stricto, and we spoke about this, and we were talking about these games remaining are important because what you're looking at now is players not only putting themselves in the frame for the Champions League, but also what you're trying to do at the club is create a winning mentality, an ethos, and you can't turn that on and off like a tap. You can't say, right, we're going to go into the Madrid game, all guns blazing, we got the win, and yeah, we can rest on our laurels, sit back and go into games half-hearted. You can't do that. If you're trying to create a winning mentality and an ethos, you have to approach every game seriously. You have to try and win every game. So... Yeah,
totally agree. Arsenal have a game in hand now on Newcastle. It's obviously today's game. Newcastle blown away by Villa yesterday. I mean, Villa as half time won at half time. And to be fair, Newcastle at times looked dangerous coming forward, but Villa had loads of chances. I mean, Watkins could have had a hat-trick himself, and it's kind of given Arsenal an opportunity just again to try extend the gap because we are 5 ahead of Man City. A win would sort of restore that to 8, and I just think we don't want to tempt fate. And I know we had a good debate on Forever Arsenal. Does it even matter? I think it does. Like, I think you want to just go, cool, we've had a terrible season, but it never got worse than second. And, we've got something to play for in the Champions League. I think that does matter.
I think it does. Don't get me wrong, obviously we'll focus on the Champions League. But if you look at the last 2 years, we went from 84 points in second to 89 points in second. And no one said, you took a step forward. Everyone you went from second to second. This year, if we come second but we get less points, people will say you went backwards because you got less points. That's just how the narrative is.
You're so right, actually. Do you know what I mean? They pick and choose when the points matter.
No one saw the positives from 5 more points, but they'll see the negative from maybe 10 less points or whatever.
That's a good point. Yeah, I agree with that.
But as Arsenal, as a club, let's just look. The league's gone. We fumbled it there. Way too many draws. There's been adversity. We've had injuries. But let's finish it strong. Let's not let it all fizzle out in the league and just focus on the Champions League. Because if we don't win that, say we do get beat by PSG or we get to the final and lose, and we've lost the last 4 out of 6 games in the league, we get to the end of the season, we go, oh, we had a few good moments, but it wasn't actually a good season at all.
Yeah.
If we now go and win all 6 of our last games in the league, I know we've got Liverpool away, so it's going to be tough.
Yeah.
But just say we do, we go on a really good run, we get to the Champions League final. Even if we lose that, we finish the season strong, we go into the summer. People are looking at Arsenal as, I want to join that project. Because if we lose 4 out of the next 6 and we get knocked out of the Champions League, people might look, oh yeah, there's quality there, but when it really matters, they fade away. So let's finish it strong.
I hear what you're saying. If I've done the maths right, Arsenal can still hit 81 points. We're not going to win the league. Liverpool walking it, and we'll continue to. But we get 81 points for an injury-ridden season in which everything's been sort of going against us. The Saka injury, the White injury, the Erdogan injury, kind of relentless. Now Gabriel, we've lost out on. You kind of look at that and go, it's not good, but it's not where we want it to be. But my word, I honestly, I thought we were going to do well to get 75. Look, and by the way, we still need to go to Anfield. So relatively, we probably get 78, 75 anyway. But I know it's just the optics of things, right? It's like, it's in what was a bad season, did you kind of at least, I don't know, like you said, get to a Champions League semi-final? That's good, but can we get to a final? That'd be huge. Carabao Cup semi-finals, more the way we went out of it. I get what you mean. It's not.
By
it
our
doesn't
standards,
really.
By our standards at the moment, it's not great.
It kind of doesn't matter, but I still want us to do the best we could.
For sure.
Yeah, but that means playing an 11 today that is going to respect Ipswich. That is going to be good enough to go win the game. And when we rotate, we typically, there's a drop in performance. So who are the players we want seeing coming in? Or do we all agree Raya's going to start?
Yeah.
Yeah. So if we're building our back four, then what do we do right back? I think Ben White will get the nod.
Yeah, Ben White has he played a few minutes, didn't he, in the Champions League game against Madrid. People have been wanting to see him come back for a while now. I'm sure he's bursting to get some minutes, and so
I think he's got a point to prove as well.
Yeah, definitely.
There's been so much talk about Timber, how brilliant he's been. He
I
has.
totally agree.
You can't deny it. He's slowly becoming my favourite player. I think this season he's been arguably up there with maybe Partey, maybe who else is it? Maybe Raya as our most consistent player. I love this guy. What a player. So White has a point to prove. He needs to, tell these fans that he's still the player he was last year, because he's had a couple of chances, couple of games. He hasn't quite showed the levels. So come back in. I know it's Ipswich away, the league's gone, but just show the levels that you have shown in the past. Show us that you're still that player and you could still have a place in this team.
It's interesting because prior to the first game against Madrid, there was a lot of speculation, well, certainly amongst the fans, that he might be preferred over Kivior for the left-sided centre-back. And obviously the manager went with Kivior and he did really well. Yeah. People are not really talking about Ben White in that position anymore.
And I was one of them. I was one saying, but I know what Ben White can do, so I'll just put him a left centre-back and work with that. Kivior has been sensational in these 2 games.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm sure that's not lost on Ben White. Sure, that's not lost on Ben White, especially the type of character that I believe him to be. He'll want to get back in the team, show what he's worth. And like I said, these are important games today for people like Ben White, because if he comes in today and does a really good job, then you're giving the manager something to think about ahead. Because, during Timber has been playing through injury. And every time he goes down, collectively as fans, we're like, if Ben White comes in today and performs well, you're thinking, well, listen, man, Timber's the man in situ. But if he's not quite right or he's injured, Ben White comes in, great replacement for him.
So what does his back four look like? I think White, Saliba, Kivior, and I think he'll go
Tierney left back.
I think he'll go Tierney.
Yeah, I believe so, yeah. I mean, Miles Lewis-Skelly's been ridiculous, man. He's been so good.
What a player.
But he is only 18. And I know when you're 18, you're full of beans. I remember once, upon a very long time ago, I was 18. And I felt like I could keep running for days. However, he is playing at the very top level. Physical games, intense games. Give him a rest. And we've got an able replacement in Tierney to come in, who's leaving at the end of the season. We think so. These last few games will be good to see him get a start.
So for Arsenal, the midfield I went for was Erdegaard, Partey, and Zinchenko. What would you guys do?
I wouldn't have no problem with that, to be honest.
Yeah,
I may take Odegaard out.
Yeah,
would you?
Maybe
he needs minutes, man.
He needs minutes, but I I don't know. I saw a lot on Twitter this week about his injury and how deep the extent of it actually was. It was a strain in his left foot or wherever it was, and how the level when you come back from that is really, really affected. They're talking about he might need surgery in the summer to correct something. So if he is playing through anything, I don't know. Did you see this?
No, I didn't.
There was a lot of reports on it on Twitter that maybe at the end of the season they'll put him through some sort of surgery to strengthen that back up.
It's interesting because I must admit, looking at him play, I wasn't aware that he was playing for injury. He didn't look. I mean, the energy levels and the running still look very similar to what I was seeing before.
So this is the thing. There was a lot of talk about his ball striking and his left foot and his passing. And a lot of the times, he's had the chance to shoot on his left, but he hasn't had the confidence necessarily to do it. Yeah. And interestingly enough, in the second leg, the one shot he did have was when he cut back onto his right foot and he managed to strike it with some power. So there's been a lot of talk about it. I don't know how much of it is speculation, how much of it is true. But from the optics of it, I can see since his injury, he hasn't been necessarily the same player. That's why I'll take him out, because I know what you're saying about playing back into form, but just give him a little rest and say, look, you're important to us. Maybe you come on for 20, 25 minutes. And I think I'll put Ethan in there, potentially.
Yeah, I mean...
Instead of Odegaard.
Maybe a Rice... Partey could even play because he's suspended for the first leg of PSG as well. Maybe a Rice, Zinchenko, Ethan. Partey, Zinchenko, Ethan. I think I'll play Sterling on the right. That's why I'm saying bring Ethan into midfield. Okay. So
front line, does Mourinho get rested and brought out? I mean,
yeah, he does.
Probably would. I just want to see more of Trossard and Sterling, and I kind of wonder why, because I don't think either will be here next season. But just to know, can we look at Martinelli out of nowhere, his form's kind of turned around, and we know that Sterling and what he's done over his career, and we know Trossard and what he did at the end of last season. So deluded old me still thinks maybe we get something out of them, with what
I think
three
Martinelli
big
probably
games
needs
ago.
a rest, man, because
he's
a very high energy. His kind of athleticism is very explosive. Lots of running, tracks back well, works very hard. Obviously, that type of intensity, you do get tired. You know what I mean? So we're going to need him against PSG, because PSG, he will need to do a lot of tracking back and running. So I'd be very careful how I use Martinelli. I'm not saying don't play him against Ipswich and Crystal Palace, but if he does start, I wouldn't want to see him play the whole games, those two games. So there's potentially a chance to rotate in that position.
Well, in 1 minute we're going to find out. So let me just quickly go through super chats. Prithviraj says second is still important because after the 50-50 red cards, injuries, board not doing enough, we finished strong. These players can believe that despite all this, we are here and next season is ours. I do believe in momentum, all that stuff. It, makes you believe. But I think Real Madrid is the biggest. The biggest thing that's going to make you believe, isn't it? Suj says, big up James, Christian and Laurie. Picture this lineup: Raya, White, Saliba, Kivior, Tierney, Lewis Skelly, or Partey with Zinchenko and Odegaard, Waneri, Trossard and Sterling. That's the 11 he wants, and Arsenal's 11 is out any second now. Prithviraj also says, rest this game. Same 11 against Palace starts PSG too. Okay, so he thinks against Palace we should kind of go stronger. Well, let's find out any second now. Well, it should be out because it is 1:45, and it is out. The Arsenal 11 is David Raya in goal. Ben White does come in with Saliba, Kivior and Zinchenko at left back. Rice, Mourinho...
Zinchenko, not Tierney.
Rice, Mourinho, Odegaard, the midfield three. And then Saka, Martinelli, Trossard, the front three.
Wow. Rice, Mourinho, so there's no Partey then?
There's no Partey. Do you know, is this a little experiment for PSG? Because if Partey's out, good chance Rice, Mourinho, Odegaard's going to have to be the midfield three starting that game.
So is that Rice in the 6?
It's Rice in the 6. And Trossard up front. Wow.
Yeah, he's gone strong. Strong team.
He's gone very strong.
I didn't expect to see...
I thought he'd go stronger than I kind of thought a few days ago.
I understand it, man. I think Arteta wants to finish strong in the Premier League. I don't think he wants to, draw away against Ipswich and then drop points against Palace and then have to pick it up and go again against PSG. So I understand keeping the momentum, playing a strong team. I'm surprised to see Saka, because he came off quite early against Madrid, didn't he? Maybe he had a little knock, or maybe he was tired, because I don't think he's finished the 90 since he's come back.
But in fairness, he was back for Fulham, which was, 2.5 weeks ago? So if you think, came on against Everton, started Madrid but came off, Didn't come on against Brentford. Or no, came on against Brentford but didn't start. Started Real Madrid. He's probably. I mean, at some point he kind of needs to start playing regular Premier League.
Yeah, I'm just scared with Saka, man, because we've seen it over the past couple of weeks how important this guy is, man. If he picks up any sort of injury, I think.
I'm scared of every footballer there. I mean, all of them. I'm like,
no, but Saka mainly, man, because we know what a miss he is. I think. A lot of the other players, I don't want to put any sort of jinx on it, so I'm not even going to say that. But if Saka goes down, the energy within the Arsenal fan base just goes.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
But it's a strong team.
But this is hopefully minutes that will just keep getting him into form, keep getting him better. Do you know what I think is so scary about the way he dismantled Real Madrid and David Alaba? Is that I don't think he was even at his best.
No, I mean, he's just coming back from a long-term injury.
I think he walked it. I mean, he didn't. He worked really hard and all that. But I'm just talking in terms of his levels. I think he can do even more.
Well, this is what I was saying. We said this on the show yesterday. Saka is not just his physical ability; he also plays the game in his head very well.
Yeah.
So, man, he, like Christian says, he's a massive part of our team.
What's the bench, James? You got the bench.
Good question. Neto, Tierney, Partey. This is in the way. So Neto, Tierney, Partey, Timber, Sterling, Baloy, Deji, Henry Francis, Lewis Skelly, and Waneri.
Okay. So everyone's there. No one's left.
Everyone's there. And listen, I'm sure those guys. Some of those guys on the bench will get minutes today. And I think it's also worth pointing out that this is. Quite an important game for Arsenal because we've not been playing that well in the league recently. I mean, everyone's talking about the Champions League, and quite rightly so. But if you look at our last 5 games, we've only won 1, and we've drawn like 4 games. We are like the draw specialists, and even with those draws taken into consideration, the performance has not been great. I mean, the Brentford game wasn't a great goal. I was at that game, man.
They haven't been thrilling, just games of football, have they? Generally,
yeah. The Everton game, another one.
Sometimes you think if you weaken the 11, almost it can be a bit more end to end and a bit more open. So in some ways, it's shown up with a more exciting game. We've had quite the opposite.
So if you look at the last 5 games, we drew 0-0 against Forest, sleeper. Man United, Arsenal, another one, sleeper. Arsenal, Chelsea, we won, but Chelsea were poor. Yeah. We weren't much better. And Everton and Brentford. So we're due a good performance in the Premier League. Let's hope it's today.
Well, here's the Ipswich 11. Palmer, the goalkeeper, Twanzebe, O'Shea, Greaves, Davis. So good battle there, Davis and Saka. Morsey, the captain. Is it Cajuste or Cajust? Let me know in the comments how to pronounce it properly. Johnson and Ciso. Good player in Ciso. Clark and Hurst.
No Delap.
No, Delap is on the bench. A very good spot there.
He had a rib injury, didn't he? But
is that what it was? Okay,
that's what I heard.
Would you guys be? Would Delap be on the shortlist of strikers for you guys in the summer?
I
like him a lot.
I do like him as a striker, but I think Arsenal might be aiming or should be aiming a little bit higher. No disrespects to Delap because he is a player that has caught my attention, but I think we need something near the finished article if we're really to go on and do what we expect to do.
So this season he's got 12 goals and 2 assists in the Premier League. Guys, he's playing for a side that...
It is solid, I know.
I like Ipswich. I really like the manager, who now I forget his name. McKenna, right? No? Yeah? Anyway.
Aaron McKenna. Is it Aaron McKenna? Yeah.
So 21 points. They're miles off at Ipswich. They scored 19 goals.
He scored 12.
And he's scored 12.
It's a really good return. He is a good player. And it's not just the goals he scored. He scored some big goals in big games against actually big teams. I
like his all-round game. I think his all-round game is quite... There's something there for me.
Yeah.
How old is he?
I've only seen him this season in the league. I don't know what he was doing before that. But
he was at City before, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was at City. They let him go.
He's 22,
Ipswich.
so it's not like he's like super young. It's not like he's like 19, 20.
I'd kind of just want someone a bit more proven.
Polished,
and not even polished, because I think he's a good player, but someone that's done it for 3 or 4 years. Do you know what I mean? There's been so many players we were talking about this on the live.
I'm with you, by the way.
So many players that do it for 6 months or a year, and you go, wow, you bring them in and they don't perform. And it's like, well, they had a purple patch for 6, 8, 12 months. And I'm not saying it's a purple patch with Delap, because I do think he's a good player. Could be a good signing. I think his release clause is 30 million, which looks like a steal for someone that's scored 12 goals for a relegated team, essentially. I'm just looking at a player that's not a risk, and I think he is a risk. I don't think he comes in and starts, so maybe it's less of a risk because of that. But bring in someone that's done it for 3-4 years, got consistent numbers up there. But if it happened, I wouldn't be against it or hate it.
Yeah, I mean, you're right, and you're kind of agreeing with me as well, because like we want somebody that's going to come in and hit the ground running, that's proven, like you said. Delap seems to me that he's got great potential, is one for the future. Where Arsenal are right now is that next season we have to make a considered challenge for that Premier League. So we need somebody to lead the line, like you said, that's experienced.
I think there's major pressure to win it next year.
Yeah, there is.
I don't think we have a divine right to say, well, we must win these trophies. But I think with how underwhelming this campaign has been, look, the Champions League can swing things massively, But it's actually a pointless conversation for me to start because, it's let's see how this season ends. And then where we're positioned, and then what we do in the summer, and that will determine lots. But
I would say, regardless of how the season ends, even if we win the Champions League and win it well, starting that next season, we need a striker, and we don't just need like a regular striker. We need somebody that, not say to guarantee 20 goals plus, but you know what I'm saying, who you can reasonably rely on is going to do that.
Yeah, agreed. We're going to go back through the Arsenal 11 just a sec, people. Let's take your comments and your super chats. This is a super chat from Lee Jacobs. Big up the boys. What's a bigger achievement, hypothetically? Slot winning Liverpool's 20th title in his first season, or Mikel winning Arsenal's first Champions League? Do you know what, Lee? It's a good question. I haven't got an answer for you. I don't. I think
I've got an answer as well.
I've got an answer.
Me and Laurie got the same answer.
And I raised this. It's interesting because I raised that same issue on DR Sports when I was on there with Alex, who's obviously a Liverpool diehard supporter, and I was saying to him that I think that Arsenal's achievement would be greater, and that's no shade on Liverpool's, because to win the Premier League over 38 games, all the arguments that go with that, you've been the best team, blah, blah, and I get that. But when you consider where we're coming from, Arsenal's record in Europe, the injuries we've had this season, to go on and win the Champions League, knocking out the likes of Real Madrid and PSG and whoever we beat in the final, whether it be Barcelona, Inter, come on, man, that's got to rank higher.
Yeah, and it's not like Slot came into a team that was battling out for top 4, finishing 5th or 6th, and then got them to win the league. They were leading the league for most of the season last year, and then fell off late into the season. So he's done an amazing job. I don't want to discredit that at all. They've been the best team in the league. They deserve the title, but Arsenal have never won the Champions League. We've been to one final. This is our first semi-final in 16 years. If Arteta comes in with this team that he's done such a great job to build, some of the players, I was saying this on the live the other day as well, a lot of the world-class debates are because of him. Like some of the players' improvements in this team are because of him, and no one gives him credit for the players that he's improved. Gabriel, now people talk about being world-class. When he came into Arsenal, he was nowhere near it. He was a good defender. People called him a bozo. He used to make a lot of mistakes. Now the guy is flawless, one of the best defenders in the world. Bukayo Saka was a good player when he came in. He's now turned him into one of the most exciting wingers in the world.
I think one of the best players in the world.
One of the best players in the world, I agree. Yeah. I know I've gone off topic here, but I just think if he was to win the Champions League with this team that he's built from the ground, that achievement is incredible. Rather than Slot, he came into a ready-made team that he's done a very good job with and won the Premier League. So they're both great achievements. Maybe I'm a bit biased, but I'm
with you on that. And then you got to remember as well, it's not just if we win it. I mean, putting out Real Madrid. I remember when that draw was made, I was literally getting laughed at just to suggest that Arsenal had a chance. Well, 15 times winners, current owners, well, you lot, no striker, beat Real Madrid over 2. Oh, you mad, Laurie? Yeah. I was getting trolled, bro, just for suggesting that we had a chance.
We all were, yeah.
And a lot of those that were trolling me were actual Arsenal fans. Yeah. Here we are. Listen, we're still quite some distance from winning it. But if he was to go on and win that, like Christian says, we've never won it, got to one final, and we think some of the great players we've had at the club, not even they were able to achieve that. So for Arteta to come in and do it on the back of a season like this, come on, no brainer.
We were getting trolled by our own fans. I sat on that sofa over there after we beat PSV 7-1, and I stuck my chest out and I said, we can win this Champions League. Turkish laughed at me, Marty laughed, he was on the stream that day, Dan Potts laughed at me, one other person was there. They all laughed and said, like, calm down, like, we're not going to win this, blah, blah, blah. I said, we've got a very good chance. We've been amazing in Europe this year. We lost one game to Inter, which was a very close game. It was a penalty. That's
Yeah,
the
I was
reason
there.
we
I don't
lost.
think we deserved to lose that.
I don't think we
thought-
did
I thought
either.
played
It was
well.
a bit of a dodgy penalty. We came third in the group stages, and we just beat PSV. We scored 7 goals in the last 16 Champions League game. I know how good this team is. And I also said I prefer Real Madrid over Atletico just because we know the style that we're good against. And look what happened, man. We're in a semi-final.
Bubba says Arteta was a smart coach. This lineup is good, and it's also experiment for the PSG game. Couple more super chats. Dini says, big up the panel. Happy with the team. Get as many rehearsals as you can in with this midfield. Going for a 2-0 win. Come on, you Gunners. Link up soon. Absolutely, Dini. We'll see you soon. Lee Jacob says, for PSG, Declan Marino, Martin in midfield, and Saka, Ethan, Martinelli up front. Wow. Saka
Sorry,
and
was that our
Ethan.
Dini?
Yeah.
All right, big up Dini. You know what? I've got to shout out Dini. What a nice guy that guy.
Yeah,
honestly,
class act, isn't he?
He is such a nice man, and like he knows his football. He's very accommodating. I've been around him at the box park. Super guy, man.
No, I
Respect
second all
due to
that.
you,
Class act. We
Class
got
act.
to know him via the full-time calling shows we used to do.
Yeah, that's right.
And obviously we've now had him here and we've seen a box part. Yeah, class act, man. So it's good to see you
Big up,
in the
Dean.
comments, Dean. You're always supporting the channel, man. And yeah, we'll see you soon. So Lee Jacobs just saying that he'd go for Ethan up front, basically, to have some versatility and good
He's due a good
combinations.
game, you know. He's not. Listen, I'm his biggest fan. I called him the most exciting talent in the Premier League this season. But I've got to be honest. If I'm applying my logic, as I like to do, fairly and evenly, the last couple of games he's not quite lived up to the hype that myself and others are putting. And listen, that's no shade. He's a young guy. The young players are subject to, temporary loss of form, or you know what I'm saying. So. Yeah, man. Let's see him today. Let's hope he
He's not
does
starting,
well.
is he?
No.
Oh no, but I'm sure he'll get some minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah, true. I'm
Abdullah
surprised he's not starting.
Yeah, I am, I think. But I'm not massively surprised. Abdullah says, does this mean we're looking at Marino to replace Partey in the first leg? Yeah, I think potentially. I think that's exactly what I take from that 11.
Well, that's
and
his,
Leo to lead the line. I'd personally prefer Marino as a 9 and Zinni as an 8. Okay, well, we might see that today. And final thing was a comment from Mindful saying, as much as the importance of the Champions League fixtures means we cannot be resting key players, we need to win today. So there we go. We will do score predictions 15 minutes before kickoff. Of course, we'll be live for the watch along then. Thank you for all your comments and super chats. Just a reminder of the Arsenal 11. Raya in goal. White comes in for Timber. Saliba Kivior at the back. With Zinchenko at left back coming in for Lewis Skelly instead of Tierney, which is interesting. Rice, Marino, Erdegaard, the midfield three. So Marino drops back into midfield. Is this an experiment for PSG? Saka, Martinelli and Trossard in the false 9. And I've really been pushing the Trossard false 9 thing. So please play well. Didn't against Brentford. Did against Everton. Let's make it 2 out of 3. And then we said with Ipswich, I'm just getting the 11 one more time. Palmer in goal, Twanzebe, O'Shea, Greaves, Davis, Morsey, Kajust, Johnson, Enciso, Clark, and Hurst.
So no Amari Hutchinson.
No Amari
Former
Hutchinson, and Delap is on the bench too. Big thanks to all of you tuning in. Like I said, we'll be back in 45 minutes, and then looking ahead to kick off and reacting to every kick of a ball as Ipswich take on Arsenal, and Arsenal can just add a few more points on the board and just try and make second place that a little bit more secured. Big thanks to Laurie, big thanks to Christian Ty. We'll all be back for the watch on. See you very soon.